Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started.
Hey friends, how's it going? We've got some drama, or at least what looked like drama, inside McLaren after the Singapore Grand Prix. Right after the race, cameras caught a moment that quickly went viral. Oscar Piastri apparently disconnecting the team radio while CEO Zak Brown was congratulating everyone on securing the Constructors' Championship. In the footage, Zak Brown can be heard thanking the drivers and crew for their hard work and celebrating the achievement. But before he could even finish his message, Piastri's radio cut out. To make matters worse, Piastri was also absent from the team's podium celebration after the race. That double incident immediately sparked speculation across the paddock and on social media. Was Piastri upset? Was there tension between him, Norris, and McLaren's leadership? During the race itself, Piastri had shown clear frustration over certain strategy calls, especially when battling his teammate, Lando Norris. So, at first glance, his silence after the race and absence from the podium festivities seemed like a sign of dissatisfaction or even disrespect. But as often happens in Formula One, not everything is what it looks like. McLaren leader clarified the situation to motorsport.com. According to the team, Piastri didn't actually cut off Zak Brown mid-sentence. What happened is that by the time Brown's message came through, Piastri had already switched off the car in Parc Fermé, which automatically disabled his radio. In other words, he never heard the message in the first place. It wasn't a snub, just a timing issue. The team also explained why Piastri wasn't seen celebrating on the podium with Norris and the crew. The reason was tied to Formula One's official schedule. After every race, drivers are immediately directed to the media pen for mandatory interviews with broadcasters. While Norris was already near the podium because of his third-place finish, Piastri was still locked into his media obligations. McLaren emphasized that the post-race podium gathering was meant for engineers and mechanics only, but since Norris happened to be there, it gave the impression that Piastri was excluded. To clear the air and stop the rumor mill, McLaren later organized an official team photo in the pit lane, with both Piastri and Norris celebrating together as usual. This was their way of showing that despite some tense radio moments during the race, there is no rift inside the team. Right now, the focus returns to the Drivers' Championship fight, where Piastri remains in the lead with a 22-point advantage over Lando Norris. The team insists that both drivers and management are aligned, and the so-called radio drama was nothing more than a misunderstanding. But now I want to hear from you. Do you believe McLaren's explanation and think this was all just bad timing? Or do you suspect there might still be some hidden frustration from Piastri? And most importantly, who do you think will come out on top in this McLaren title fight? Piastri or Norris? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Hey friends, how's it going? The Singapore Grand Prix has just wrapped up, but the drama isn't over yet. Lewis Hamilton has been summoned by the FIA stewards after allegedly exceeding track limits in the closing laps of the race. Hamilton had been staging a strong recovery drive after switching to soft tires for the final stint. With the fresher rubber, he managed to overtake Charles Leclerc and even began pressuring Mercedes rookie Andrea Kimi Antonelli for a spot in the top 5, which would have been Hamilton's best finish since the British Grand Prix back in July. However, in the dying minutes of the race, things started to unravel. Hamilton began suffering from brake issues combined with heavy tire degradation. His pace dropped dramatically, forcing him to give the position back to Leclerc. In the end, Hamilton crossed the line in 7th place, just 0.4 of a second ahead of Fernando Alonso. The dramatic part? He lost nearly 45 seconds on the final lap alone because of those braking problems. Right after the checkered flag, Hamilton's engineer came over the radio to inform him that he was under investigation and could lose that 7th place finish. Hamilton responded, insisting that any penalty would be unfair, arguing that he only went beyond track limits because of the mechanical issues with his car. According to him, it wasn't a matter of gaining an advantage, but simply trying to keep the car under control. For now, the classification remains provisional, as the stewards will hear from Hamilton and analyze the onboard footage, telemetry, and lap data. If a penalty is handed down, Alonso would inherit 7th place, while Hamilton would drop to 8th, another frustrating blow in what has already been a difficult debut season with Ferrari. This moment adds another layer to Hamilton's rocky 2025 campaign. He has yet to score a podium and has often found himself struggling against Charles Leclerc. Today looked like a chance to finally show progress, especially with that late charge on fresh tires. Instead, it might end in more disappointment if the stewards decide against him. The bigger question here is whether the FIA will consider mitigating circumstances. Drivers have been penalized before for exceeding track limits regardless of car problems, but Hamilton's case is different. It was clearly the braking issue that forced him wide. Will the stewards apply the rulebook strictly, or will they show leniency because of the situation? Whatever the outcome, this investigation highlights how unforgiving Formula One can be. One moment you're charging through the field, and the next you're fighting just to hang on. Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, now finds himself battling for points and hoping for mercy from the officials. So what do you think? Should Hamilton be penalized even though his off-track excursion was caused by brake failure? Or do you believe the FIA should let this one slide, recognizing that he didn't gain an unfair advantage? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
Quick news, no fluff. If you want to stay fully updated on everything happening in Formula One, make sure to subscribe here to GP at Home, because we bring you fresh videos every day, always straight to the point and respecting your time. And today's topic is Max Verstappen, who, despite finishing second at the Singapore Grand Prix, left Marina Bay with more concerns than satisfaction. The 4-time world champion from Red Bull admitted after the race that he battled with serious technical problems throughout the event. The team had taken a bold approach, starting him on soft tires in hopes of gaining an advantage over George Russell early on, but that strategy backfired. Verstappen explained that the inside line on the grid had very little grip, which forced him to focus only on surviving the opening stint and preserving the softs rather than attacking. Red Bull then reacted by bringing him in early for hard tires, hoping to stabilize his pace. But the biggest issue wasn't the strategy, it was the behavior of the car itself. Verstappen revealed that he faced repeated gear downshift problems, making braking and deceleration extremely tricky. On top of that, the rear of the RB21 felt unstable, causing constant difficulties when exiting corners. According to Verstappen, the car had a tendency to push the front under braking while simultaneously sliding at the rear, a nightmare combination that forced him to continuously adjust the balance and fight the car lap after lap. By the closing stages of the race, it was less about pace and more about survival mode just to secure second place. Still, despite all these obstacles, Verstappen held on to P2 and even showed a bit more consistency toward the final laps. But his remarks made one thing very clear: the RB21 still has vulnerabilities, especially under extreme track conditions like Singapore's high temperatures, heavy braking zones, and bumpy surface. The result looks solid on paper, beating both McLarens and walking away with another podium. But beneath the surface, it revealed weak points in Red Bull's package, and those issues need urgent solutions, not only to finish this season strongly, but also to ensure competitiveness heading into next year's campaign. So now the big question for fans: does Verstappen still have a real shot at fighting for second in the championship standings? Or, who knows, with a miraculous late-season charge, could he even stay alive in the title fight? Because if the car continues to behave this inconsistently, it might be too much even for Max to overcome. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Can Verstappen still turn this around? Or will the RB